Hello everybody, welcome to today's show. Today's show is about as crazy as it gets. Trump and the RNC drop bombshell evidence. The Democrats are trying to file lawsuits behind everybody's back. They're trying to fight against Dropbox surveillance cameras. So they're trying to remove surveillance cameras from recording drop boxes in key states like Georgia and Pennsylvania. They don't want to be caught on camera for whatever reason. They are suing not to count ballots by hand. They only want the machines to do it. And we're supposed to try to get election integrity. Why don't they want the security? Why are Democrats literally suing to remove security from these elections? On top of that, Arizona was a toss-up state, but now it is leaning red. This is a big state that Donald Trump needs to win. But right now in Nevada today, where Trump is winning in the early voting, they have found 77,000 ballots that will not be able to be counted because of printer issues, saying that there's issues with the barcode. The reporter that shows this puts two and two side by side and says, I can't tell a difference. And the lady that literally says, well, we need to redo these, says you have to use a microscope to see the indifferences, which makes no sense. How is it that it is so weird that we're finding all these issues suddenly before the election, before the mass voting, but it's all because the Republican National Convention has hired over 1,000 people to watch all the swing state polling to find out and point all this stuff out. We have fake pollsters also that are going to Republican-leaning counties in Pennsylvania and impersonating election officials and telling people to go home, the voting machines are not working, and that they are down. This election is the craziest that I've ever seen. I cannot believe what we're even reporting, and we got a ton of other breaking news as well. Just want to say thank you to everybody that is watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel. And thank you to all of our members of the channel. Remember, the link is in the description to join. Y'all are amazing. And thank you so much to everybody that gives a super chat donation. We are truly grateful for your support. And remember, we use that money to do good. But check this out, because you can't make this stuff up. We are catching it right before our eyes, but I'm glad we're finally catching it so people will know. Check this out.
Today in Georgia, a judge ruled that election officials have to certify results, even if voter fraud is suspected. And around the state, Democrats are suing to prevent drop box surveillance, hand counting ballots, and voter ID protections. Why are Democrats trying to make elections less secure? Especially while many states across the country are finding thousands of people who aren't citizens on the voter rolls. Like in Virginia, where Governor Youngkin removed more than 6,000 non-citizens from the rolls. The Biden-Harris administration didn't like that. The Justice Department is now suing Virginia for cleaning up the voter rolls, something Virginia governors have been doing for years.
Why is it that anyone could argue that a process that removes non-citizens off of our voter rolls is anything else other than common sense and constitutional? This is a law that's been on our books since 2006. It was a law that was signed by then Democrat Governor Tim Kaine. This is why I find this to be a very, very unreal moment that is stunning, that they filed this suit 25 days before a presidential election, when in fact this has been going on in accordance with our Constitution, the federal Constitution, and state law since 2006.
It's simple. We just want free and fair elections. Democrats are trying to loosen the rules and get Republicans
to look like the bad guys, because that's not the only thing. Look at this. This just happened just hours ago, everybody.
Vote-by-mail ballot error has some Nevada County residents concerned. County elections realized something was wrong on Monday. Their machines weren't properly reading all the ballots. They called the Secretary of State and their printing service and diagnosed the issue as an ink overspray on some of the barcodes.
Some of our ballots, if you look really closely and you use a magnifying glass, you will see that there is imperfections in the barcodes.
I want to show you what these ballots look like. If you take a look here, We're covering some private information, but the one on the left has already been processed. The problem is with these barcodes, and the one on the right needs to be rescanned. But as you can see, they look very similar.
Look exactly the same.
We will go ahead and use a report to see, okay, which pages did not go through. We'll pull those out, and we mark them as to be rescanned. So we have a different bin, we have a different colored piece of paper that sort of makes it really clear.
Election officials say the printer error will not affect the accuracy, but it will slow down their operations. They'll be working around the clock to certify the election results on time.
You see this?
I trust the process.
And for those who are more skeptical, anyone is allowed to observe the process in person or online through a live stream. Look, there's me in the counting room waving. I reached out to Runbeck Election Services, who supply the ballots, and they said in a statement, in part, we are coordinating directly with the Nevada County Elections Office and the Secretary of State to ensure that all affected ballots can be properly reviewed and counted. While this issue is rare, it can happen due to the required use of inkjet technology for the printing of such a large quantity of ballots.
We care very much about getting it right. Not just because it's a presidential election, but we care about every election and making sure that the process is accurate, that it's transparent.
77,000 ballots, everybody, have been affected. And this is the thing, you heard about it. They don't want surveillance at Dropbox ballot where they collect the ballots. Right now, Trump is almost, look at this, 66.9% in the betting market to 33.1%. Right now against Harris. This is the biggest ever. This is insane. The change. This is why they're saying Arizona is now leaning red. Pennsylvania, look at it down here, 61 to 39. And not only that, their Democrats are suing to keep surveillance around Dropboxes for the ballots. They're trying to smear. Now they've got a list of 53 conservative people that they're trying to target. Check this out.
Fellas, let's go. So here's Axios' reporting on this speech tonight. Kamala Harris is she's trying to make some kind of closing argument. There's a real battle inside her campaign. Folks, this is just from liberal communist media reporting that has just filtered over and spilled over, and sources are starting to leak now because each side's battling. One side is telling her, please shut up with the fascist stuff. It's not working. You've got to make a better closing argument about the economy, education, national defense, global chaos, that kind of stuff. The other side saying, stick with the fascist war on democracy stuff, despite the fact that it's not working. So Axios notes that this speech on the ellipse tonight was chosen partly because it was a cited Trump speech on January 6th that incited supporters ahead of their attack on the Capitol. You see how Axios, leave that up a second. You see how Axios is a communist bull rag you should use to wipe your caboose and flush down the toilet? Where he incited supporters. Trump should sue these absolute losers. He said peacefully and patriotically, you Axios dip. Sorry, man, I'm so tired. However much, leave this up a second because I'm not even done. However much you hate these media assholes, you don't hate them enough. They are scum. They are lying scum inciting violence against Donald Trump. Axios, they note in the campaign, sees it as symbolic of the good a president can do. Can you imagine how out of touch you have to be? Guys, am I crazy? Has Biden done anything good? You're going to use the White House as a backdrop of all of the problems the White House has caused? I'm sorry, man. I'll be honest with you. I'm in a pissy mood this morning. Did you see this thing going on? Not about doing the show. You see this thing going on with these scumbags in the media? This Nico Grant from the New York Times
right here,
sending out to try to interfere in the election, this mass email to everyone. Hey, do you realize there's misinformation on YouTube and Media Matters? You're talking about a left-wing scumbag organization full of censorship, communist-loving fashion. Listen, there's going to be a bad language today in today's show, so if you're not liking it, I'm just going to...
Guys, it's not going to be bad language for us because I cut out all the cussing, so we're good.
Warn you now, it's time to tune out because I'm in absolute dark mode. I am so sick of these scumbags.
Me too.
They are pieces of shit. These media people are communist garbage. They are liars. They have lied in every election. They have tried to steal away your democracy. They attack people. They try to destroy their livelihoods. They're stupid. They're assholes. I hate these people. They are absolute garbage. I'm not shy about it. They are inciting violence every single day against Donald Trump, calling him a fascist, calling him a Nazi. You ask people, hey, if you go back in time and you could kill Hitler, this is the kind of thing they're trying to incentivize. Donald Trump was nearly killed twice and was shot in the head because media keep telling you you're all fascists and Nazis. I hate these people. I can't stand them. They are scum and garbage. And whereas this side can conclusively say they have the right to speak out, I respect that right, but I have the right to speak out and call them. I'm so fed up with these assholes. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. Even if you don't like Donald Trump, you should vote now, vote early, vote on election day, wherever. Just to watch these people cry. Make them get a Kleenex because I'm so sick of them. You're all Nazis, racists, all the most disgusting, vile things. And then when we respond to the PP hoax, the collusion hoax, the Spygate, the thing they hid, the 51 intelligence officials letter, Russian collusion bullshit.
Yeah,
every freaking story you've ever heard about Donald Trump, the bloodbath hoax, the fine people hoax, the suckers and losers hoax. And we got to take lectures from these pieces of shit about misinformation. Put that video up of me, man. I told you I was going to. You want to see who Donald Trump really is? You got media scumbags telling you he's a fascist and Nazi. He's going to get killed because of these people.
Guys, sorry to interrupt, but the reason I cut out all of the cussing is because I will get demonetized if I don't. They will not show my video if there's a lot of cussing. So that's why I take it out.
You understand that, right? They are, if he is shot again, you can blame the left-wing media. There's zero doubt that they are inciting violence. Zero doubt. They are actually inciting violence against you, too. Putting misinformation from the New York Times PP paper, trying to steal another election by getting people demonetized on YouTube. By the way, if this is not a signal for you out there to go and start a Rumble account, I can't help you at this point. Here's some good news. I want you to look at this, folks. Look at the early voting numbers. More. Eric, by the way, thank you for the nice DM last night. I told you to follow this guy. He's got a really good account. Eric with a C, L Daw, D-A-U-G-H, short for Daughtry. Eric Daughtry. It's a very good account. I like it for election coverage.
Let's go,
There's a couple more good ones out there as well. But breaking, GOP surges in Michigan early voting. More. The GOP area saw massive, all caps, increase in ballot returns compared to the Democrat areas. GOP counties have the highest return rates. Democrat ones have the lowest. There you go, Michigan. More.
I'm telling you.
Look at that chart. They are effed if you keep this up. There is no math for them to win, folks, if you keep this up. Here's another one out of Florida. Florida. Here, we have to preface this because of scumbag media people like Nico Grant from the New York Times and others. Electoral bloodbath. You hear that? Guys, what did I say before bloodbath? Electoral. Did I say electoral? Just to be sure, because scumbags like Nico Grant will be like, you call for violence. As you're calling Donald Trump a fascist mass murderer. It's looking like an electoral bloodbath here in Florida. Eric Daughtry, Florida, early voting update as of yesterday at 2 p.m. It's really close, folks.
It really
Republicans
is.
are at 2.2 million. Democrats 1.65 million. That's look at Miami-Dade. Miami-Dade, Justin, isn't that a blue area? What does that say? D+7? What does that say? Oh, no, it doesn't, Justin says. He says, Dan, that's an R. Oh, it looks like a D. My eyesight is bad. Miami-Dade, R +5.5. Miami-Dade, That's weird. Yeah. More. Oh, they say we have more. Pennsylvania.
Guys, this is an
Breaking.
important
Pennsylvania Republicans out-requested Democrats for mail-in ballots again. 47,000 to 43,000. They also only trailed Democrats in returns by just 9,000 ballots. The Democrat firewall, which is traditionally has to be about 500,000, a lead in early voting, is now at 381. Firewall growth is screeching to a near halt lately in Pennsylvania.
Guys, this is why they say, you know, we could potentially see a red wave go across. But Donald Trump just came out and he said this, because we've been showing you all this stuff of what's going on across these states, these fraudulent votes, catching all this crap. He finally came out and said, wow, York County, Pennsylvania received thousands of potentially fraudulent voter registration forms and mail-in ballot applications from a third-party group. This is on top of Lancaster County being caught with 2,600 fake ballots and forms, all written by the same person. Really bad stuff. What is going on in Pennsylvania? Law enforcement must do their job immediately. Wow. So this is the actual video evidence right here. So these people on the left side, you see where it says Dems voter protection? That's not real. That is fake. They printed this off. They made it look legitimate. And what they've been doing is going to people and telling them to leave, because look at these massive lines for people to vote in these red counties, Republican counties. But they caught this person and they've been dealt with accordingly. I told you, remember, the RNC hired over 100,000 people to watch all the important polls, the swing states. They wanted to make sure that we were going to have the most favorable election integrity as possible. What's up, Mr. Tracy J. Norby? You're good, my brother. But I'm telling you this, the battleground states, we are seeing that they are starting not just to be toss-up states, but they are starting to lean red. This is hugely important for Trump. We want a red wave. Check this out.
Okay, here we go on the presidential level. By the way, next hour we're getting to Congress and some movement in the Senate races too, okay? Here is what we're seeing right now in the great American Southwest. We have taken Arizona from a toss-up to a lean Republican here. All right, why did we do that? Check out all the polling right now, okay? At 270 to win, we believe right now the toss-up state's in the middle, 226 Harris and 230 Trump. Here are the polls. There have been 8 polls going back to the 3rd week of September. 7 of those polls have fallen into Donald Trump's column. There was one here from the Wall Street Journal that had Harris up 2 points at 48-46, but even that was still within the margin of error. So this is what helps us gauge our reaction to what's happening in Arizona. This is also very telling as well. When we track Trump's polling over the past 6 months, let's say, we believe his floor has consistently been 48 and his ceiling's been around 50, okay? Maybe a little notch above 50, but generally 48 to 50. And that's the consistency you see going back to March of last year. Trump at 50, right? Trump at 48, Trump at nudge above 50.
The British Perspective, thank you so much for the super chat. They said MSN inciting violence using free speech law should be a criminal offense. I agree. Guys, you're not even going to believe what I'm about to show you next.
Trump at 48, Trump a nudge at 50, and that's the way we see the national battle right now between Trump and Harris, with him leading on the national tally by 2 points, all right? Now, there's always a chance for surprises. We got to be ready for that. This is still a plausible map for Kamala Harris, right? You got the blue wall with Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and you got that one electoral vote in Nebraska. If she does that, as we've been talking now for a couple of weeks now, that would be the 270 mark that she needs to reach. So that's still a plausible map based on what we're seeing. Now you talk about surprises. Who knows what happens a week from tonight? But starting to get talk about Minnesota, starting to get talk about New Mexico, New Hampshire, and Virginia. Maybe it's real, maybe it's just a head fake, we don't know, but watch where the candidates go, and we'll see next Tuesday, a week from now, as to whether or not there's something there. Meanwhile, is there a surprise in some place like Iowa? We'll see. Democrats have been chasing Texas for some time. We don't know if they'll capture it this time, but when we look at the issues, Trump leads on the economy, as you see behind me, by 7 points. He leads on immigration by 15 points. When it comes to abortion, however, Kamala Harris has a solid lead at 13 points, and that's where we believe right now the state of the race is in our final power rankings. With us now, the RNC political director, James Blair, the numbers man for Team Trump. And sir, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us today. What did we get right, and what are we missing?
Thanks for having me, Bill. You're getting a lot right. And one of the things that you mentioned, Arizona, the polling looks good there. There's something else that's worth pointing out, I think, that the polling doesn't necessarily pick up, which is the voter registration gains for Republicans in Arizona specifically, which is also a national trend. But 4 years ago, going into the election on the book close, there was about 130,000 more registered Republicans in the state of Arizona than Democrats. Today, that number's over 280,000. And a lot of these pollsters, even when you average it all out, they set their sample to look like the 2020 electorate. But the fact is, these battleground states, in particular Arizona, they've all moved 3 to 5 points to the right. So that's a great sign for President Trump. Obviously, he's brought a ton of new voters into the party. And I think that's something that the polling may not even be picking up, despite it showing him very strong as it stands right now.
If you could pull up call for number 3, please. Hi, James. It's Dana Perino. This is our power rankings and the issues motivating people to vote. Jobs in the economy at 12%, so that's still hot. But you still have candidate and character at 11%, disliking the other candidate at 11%, and then immigration at 10% and protecting democracy at 10%. So that's kind of all over the map. I'm reading this morning on X that at the Trump campaign, they are seeing good numbers like they've never seen before. That doesn't mean that they're feeling overconfident necessarily, but those are the numbers that the Trump campaign is seeing. And I'm curious from your perspective at the RNC across the board, is that something where his coattails could help all Republicans from up and down the ballot?
Absolutely, and I can speak to both because I'm also the Trump campaign political director as well as the RNC's. His coattails are absolutely, yes, indeed. His coattails are absolutely carrying everybody down ballot and pulling them up, whether that's Senate candidates or House candidates. And I think we've seen that as some of those down ballot races that you're mentioning, the numbers are starting to firm up for them and really close towards where President Trump's are. So I think it is extremely conceivable that President Trump will win, also bring in a Senate majority and retain the House majority, and in fact increase the House majority. So I think down ballot it all looks good as long as he continues to perform well, which obviously he is. And now it's important to say people are voting. Right now we can start to measure things, and we can measure in the early voting numbers that things are going well. They're going very well compared to 2 years ago or even 4 years ago. And in some places it's really unprecedented. In the state of Nevada, Republicans have never performed like this any time in the modern era in Nevada, and here we are leading. And that's a huge concern for Democrats, and they're sounding the alarm about it.
James, a couple things happening in the last 48 hours that may or may not have an impact. Democrats are hitting you hard on being a fascist race. You know, the Puerto Rican jokes didn't go over well on Sunday at Madison Square Garden. Conversely, the early vote, you're right about that. Republicans are showing up. But what we don't know, and we asked Whatley the same question when he was here yesterday as to whether or not this is an early vote that would come in regardless on Election Day. Your view on both of that?
Well, I'll take the questions in reverse order. On whether or not the vote would come in on Election Day, obviously we do look at that. We look at historical voting patterns. What's important is that we are turning out more of our low and mid propensity voters than she is across the board. Secondarily, we have more new registered voters than she does. President Trump has expanded the party. A ton of people have joined the party in the last 4 years expressly to vote for him. And now we're seeing those people activate and turn out early. So we feel very good about the trajectory there. The fact that we are turning out those new registrants and those low and mid propensity voters in higher shares than she is. That's a real problem for her. On the other questions, look, the campaign has already made clear that they thought it was a tasteless joke. But at the end of the day, what people are voting on is who is going to fix the economy. People are getting crushed by inflation. They're getting crushed by high prices. They know it's the Harris-Biden administration that put them in that position. People are voting on whether or not the border is going to be secure or going to be open, as it's been for the last 4 years. They're voting for the candidate that is going to lower crime and regain America's standing in the world. So at the end of the day, President Trump is offering a message to the American people about how he is going to help them and fix what she has broken. And she's really running a campaign of hoaxes and personal grievances. And I don't think that's going to pan out well for her.
Nope. And this is the big thing, too, because remember, I told you this crazy stuff that we're seeing, we've never seen before. Right now, Pennsylvania judge in Pennsylvania, it's all happening in Pennsylvania. They're rejecting GOP overseas ballot lawsuit. So normally, guys, check this out. There's anywhere between 20 to 27,000 overseas ballots that are issued by Republicans. I don't know why, but this is where it's at. This is from military and overseas voters. Well, guess what? The federal court just rejected these ballots from being counted. Check this out.
Out of Pennsylvania that could impact the election. As you know, there's all of this litigation that is meandering around affecting the election as we are just 1 week away. And now a federal judge, district court judge, has tossed out a Republican lawsuit that was seeking to force Pennsylvania to verify ballots submitted by military and overseas voters. In 2020, there were almost 27,000 overseas ballots cast by the military and Americans living abroad. So it could be significant. I mean, these are tight margins in these races. We're talking thousands of votes, and it could be a difference maker. Now, Republicans, they had argued for tighter rules for overseas verification, and there's no word yet if there will be a new appeal from Republicans.
So right there, like, it is insane the amount of fighting that is going internally in the party to keep people from, to keep the elections free and fair. And so now we've got, and this is crazy, guys. So remember, Elon Musk he's trying to help out, trying to get many people to vote, trying to help Donald Trump win. So he puts out this new ad, and they're calling this the ad that's going to just obliterate Kamala Harris's campaign.
Kamala Harris.
Check this out.
Let's get one thing crystal clear. The vast majority of American men have no issue with electing a female president. Our issue lies solely with you. You were second in charge of California for 13 years.
As California's Attorney General, Harris promoted enforcement of a law that allowed prosecutors to seek jail time for parents of truant kids.
As a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
I thought that was crazy. I was like, how can you lock parents up?
If you don't go to school, Kamala's going to put you and me in jail. Yes, we achieved intended effect.
I opened the door and I see at least 7 or 8 cops that wanted to arrest me. As a matter of fact, they did.
And frankly, you know the prosecutors in my office who volunteered to do this? My homicide prosecutors, my gang prosecutors. And they went over there and I said, when you go over there, look really mean.
She had me arrested and prosecuted
That woman's evil,
because
man.
my handicapped daughter was sick in the hospital and had missed some days of school.
I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. That person could be arrested. They could lose time from work and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer. They'd lose standing in their community.
I lost my job and couldn't pay rent, and we got evicted.
Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed.
I became homeless. We had to move into a motel.
All because of the swipe of my pen.
I don't agree what Kamala Harris did to my mom. And I don't agree with what she's done to other parents as well.
You were second in charge of the United States for 4 years.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Inflation is hitting the highest level in 39 years. A record high number of illegal crossings.
Crime's been surging across the nation.
Huge spikes in homicides.
Could we be heading toward World War III?
After 17 years of failed leadership, you are now asking us to trust you as first in charge of our country.
I am concerned and focused on big issues. Elementary and middle school truancy is actually a big issue. If we're trying to save the state money, because of truancy, California public schools lose $1.4 billion a year in funding. I want money.
My message to all Americans, do not trust Kamala Harris.
As men and protectors of women and children, you are simply a risk we are not willing to take.
Boom.
Paid for by.
Guys, I don't know about y'all, but that hits me. And that's messed up that she would put people in jail over truancy. When we've got they let all these other people go freaking steal. They're literally just tearing up California, but yet they don't put them in jail. You can go steal up to $950, but they want to put parents in jail over kids' truancy. Are you kidding me? This just broke literally minutes ago. Remember, I told you I'm going to keep y'all up to date, everybody. So just in Bucks, check this out. In Bucks County, Pennsylvania, most important swing state, emergency services shut down the voting line in Doylestown. This is a Republican-leaning, very red town. That's how they vote. Hours before they were supposed to, this comes after countless reports of voter intimidation and shenanigans in the same county. Voter suppression. Look at this. They're pulling it. They're shutting them down. This is the thing. We wouldn't even know any of this if we didn't have Elon Musk and if we didn't have X. Reason being is because this would have been taken down by the previous owners of Twitter. They would 100% taken it down, said this is misinformation. Right now, Kamala Harris's entire campaign is bleeding. They are literally fighting, internal fighting. There's new leaked reports. You're not going to believe what you see next. Check this out.
How about this? Axios reporting Biden aides and allies privately trash-talked the vice president during the past 3.5 years, and Kamala and her inner circle know about it, and they plan on stripping all of them of their power if she wins in 8 days. And Kamala's campaign apparently doesn't want Joe Biden anywhere near the campaign trail. Axios also reporting today that the Harris team believes that Biden is a political liability at a crucial time in the campaign. Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan is with us. Congressman, what do you make of that? They're already playing the blame game.
Yeah. Well, I don't think she's going to get a chance to fire those folks because I don't think she's going to win. I mean, every data point is now moving in President Trump's favor. I mean, you can look at the early vote in the key swing states and across the country. You can look at polls nationally, polls in the swing states, and just the energy and enthusiasm you feel from Trump supporters, whether it's at the rally like we saw at Madison Square Garden or any of the rallies he does. I've been all over in several states, and you can just feel the energy for President Trump. So she might want to fire folks when she's president, but she's not going to get to because she ain't going to be president.
She might not have that chance. I'm with you. Just yes or no, do Republicans hold the House?
I think so, yeah. I really do.
Does Mike
Johnson... We got good candidates out there. I think we win.
Okay. Does Mike Johnson, the House Speaker, does he deserve another 2 years as Speaker?
Oh, sure. I think we're going to win everything. I think we're going to win the Senate. I think we're going to win the White House. I think, President Trump's going to be back in the White House. J.D. Vance, you just talked about, is going to be our vice president. I think we're going to maintain the House. Again, all the metrics, everything is moving in our direction, and you can feel the intensity and the energy on our side. So I think I think we win everything.
And could you see yourself pursuing the speakership?
No, I want to be chairman of the Judiciary Committee. We got to continue to protect your First Amendment free speech rights, your Second Amendment rights, Fourth Amendment privacy rights, get rid of some of the regulations so our economy can flourish, help President Trump with the tax cuts, with the border security, and with common sense energy policy. So that's what I want to focus on when we're in the majority chair in the Judiciary Committee. And think about this, Rob. Did you ever think you would see Donald Trump, Elon Musk, RFK Jr., and Tulsi Gabbard on the same team? They're on the same team because the left is going after your free speech rights, Americans' free speech rights. They're going after the First Amendment. And this coalition is coming together, this new coalition, to say we're going to protect the Constitution, we're going to protect Americans' liberties. That's what I want to focus on as chair of the Judiciary Committee if we win everything like I think we're going to.
Tulsi Gabbard, the Republican. It feels weird to say that, but that's where we are. Just about 20 seconds, Congressman. Do the investigations into Joe and Hunter and the Biden family stop on January 20th? And does he just sort of fade off into the sunset, or does that continue?
Well, look, we're not like the Democrats. We don't go after our political enemies. We just want the facts out there. So we still want to look at this special counsel, David Weiss, and how he handled that investigation. So that's something that will continue because there were all kinds of strange things done there, not to mention the retaliation against the whistleblowers who came forward and gave us so much information. So certainly that's something we'll look at. Anything else, that'd be up to the next administration and specifically the next Attorney General.
Congressman, great to see you. We appreciate you
Guys,
being.
I'm telling you this, they're in shambles right now. They're literally, this is leaked reports through Axios that Biden-Harris, internal fighting. Harris is going to go after the Biden people. It's literally insane. So this is the new report that came out. This is really circulating. This is, if you read at the bottom, from the U.S. Customs and Border Control. Terrorist encounters, check this out, through Trump's presidency, literally below 10 on every single year. You get into Biden, Harris administration, and look how this skyrockets. Because right now, this is the craziest thing ever. Remember, New York's supposed to be a sanctuary city. Well, they're kind of fed up with everything. They just spent over $100 billion on, $150 million on illegal immigrants and things like that. And now they're trying to send the migrants that came up there because they're a sanctuary city back to Texas. I'm not making this crap up, guys. Check this out. This stuff blows my mind how hypocritical these places are being. Check this out.
What I'm saying is it's just such a circus. These people come through Texas. They were sent to New York, and now they're being sent back to Texas. You know, I mean, it's just, it's outrageous to see this back and forth. We have no, programs in place to handle the 10 million people who've come illegally into this country. And so they're being ping-ponged back and forth. It's outrageous.
I'd argue that the number is more like 20 million than 10 million when you start.
I think it's 20 million.
For a quarter, yeah. And you're right, it is being ping-ponged back and forth, and dollars are being wasted on that. But you've seen these cities that have said, we want to have sanctuary city policies. Well, you wanted it, you got it. And now what you're doing is you're sending them back to states that have already, like Texas, that have already had to spend over $6.5 billion of its state budget to actually enforce immigration laws that the federal government hasn't.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty incredible that this issue is finally being seen as one of the #1 issues for this election, and it should be because of this wide open border and its deadly impact that we've seen. The election now 1 week away. Both candidates, Trump and Harris, say that they've got the best plan for small business. You're on the Small Business Committee. Trump would likely extend or make permanent the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. He also wants tax cuts for those people of all incomes and business. Trump is also saying that he'll use tariffs to ensure that jobs happen here and cars are made here. He doesn't want any tax on tips or federal income, and he doesn't want tax on overtime and, of course, Social Security. Harris, meanwhile, says she's going to create 25 million new business applications, increase existing small business tax deductions to $50,000. She says she's going to raise taxes. The corporate tax rate she wants to send back up to 28%, and she wants to end tax on tips as well. The idea she got from Trump. Almost a quarter of small business owners say that they've got fewer than 6 months of cash reserves. 45% say they expect to scale their operations down within 6 to 18 months, Congresswoman. What is the state of small business today, and which plan will help?
Look, we've had almost 4 years of hearings at small business. When you hear the small businesses come to you and tell you how crippling that the policies under this administration have been, the $1.7 trillion of additional regulatory spend that they pushed down on, well, while the Trump administration understood that burden and actually worked, they had the policy that for every one regulation you added, you got rid of 2. That saved $1.1 trillion. We've seen an additional 1.7 put down their face. In addition, they're looking at 20% inflation. This is as a direct result of their financial policies. We are going to have $36 trillion debt at the end of this year. And by the way, we're also pulling down our Treasury reserves by $1 billion. So you're seeing an increase in debt of nearly $9 billion, which is almost a quarter, actually over a quarter of the overall debt. These small businesses are feeling it more than any other. As a result, they're having to shut their doors. They're having to increase prices, which is increasing inflation. It's all as a result of these policies that the Biden administration has inflicted on them.
And this is the thing too, guys. Remember this, that all the pricing, it all gets affected. Energy is more expensive. Prices is more expensive. I do want to show this too, though, really quick, because to me, if there's anything that's more evident, oh, you can't see it, guys. If you look really close, they have under the entrees, they have a Trump burger. It's $15. And then they have a Biden burger that's $99.95. And it just shows you, said, this is what you get. Things are more expensive under Biden, and they are. And somebody pointed out in the chat, they said that if we get Trump in, we're going to get into wars and whatnot. We're already in wars. When North Korea, we stated this on this channel, has sent troops on the ground with Russia, and they are now fighting Ukraine. You got Israel fighting Iran and Hamas and Hezbollah. We're already in all these wars, in all these proxy wars. And who was the one that we got in? When did they all start? Under Biden, under Harris. Trump gets in there. We kiss the wars goodbye. And I believe that he's the one that can stop them. Because right now, this is where we're leaning towards. And I hope that the betting markets are true. I always say follow the money because I think they are true. But at the same time, too, right now, the Democrats are in shambles and they're literally doing the worst things ever to try to win this. Check this out.
A 94-year-old Holocaust survivor. Democrats, state-run media mob, they are desperate. Let's put it this way. The joy is officially gone, and irrational rage, hatred, and psychosis has now taken its place. At a Harris rally over the weekend, a woman even got in the face of a little baby in a stroller and started yelling at the baby before being pulled away. Take a look at this. Again, that was at a rally for Kamala Harris. This campaign has gone completely off the rails. Hate, vitriol is now sweeping across the Democratic Party. And it's not just the Hitler comparisons and public breakdowns. Left-wing agitator Jameel Hill lashing out at white people. She called professional race car driver Danica Patrick unhinged for supporting Trump, writing on X, quote, "This is why a lot of people do not trust white women in this election."
Wow.
Hill then referred to white men as the worst thing in America. But the most insane smear came from Vice President Harris. She said Donald Trump was going to take away Americans' right to bear arms. Is she delusional? Take a look.
Blacks for Trump. They feel that Trump is better for the black community. Can you explain Donald Trump's history with blacks?
But here's the thing. The question for everybody, should he be president of the United States?
Okay.
Right? That's the question. Should he have the ability to sit behind the seal of the president of the United States when he says he wants to terminate the Constitution of the United States? You know what that would mean? In the Constitution of the United States is your Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizure, your Fifth Amendment right, your Sixth Amendment right to an attorney.
Well, a lot of rights going to be gone. The First Amendment.
But the First Amendment, the Second Amendment.
Yes.
Now, Kamala Harris has literally called for the mandatory gun buyback or gun confiscation on multiple occasions. And by the way, keep in mind, all this rhetoric at a time where we had two would-be assassins and President Trump nearly losing his life, coming within a millimeter of losing his life, and they ratchet up the rhetoric at this point with a week to go, knowing there are deranged people in this world. Take a look.
Assault weapons that are already in circulation. What do you do about those?
Well, there are approximately 5 million, to your point, Craig. We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program.
How mandatory is your gun buyback program?
It's mandatory.
Second Amendment?
The Second Amendment, listen, we're going to have to do it the right way. There's no question about that. But we don't have any, we have to get these guns off the street.
Obviously, Kamala Harris is no fan of the Second Amendment. And as for the first, well, both Harris and her running mate Tim Walz have also called for new limits on the First Amendment. They want to outlaw so-called hate speech, which could include anything they disagree with and don't like. And by the way,
kidding me?
If we outlaw hate speech, they kind of need to be charged first.
Ain't that the
Did
truth?
anyone remind them that we have Iranian assassination squads in this country looking to take out Donald Trump? Make no mistake, this is where we are. In order to win, Kamala will literally say anything, and if you're lucky, she might even use one of her fake accents. So far, following in the footsteps of Hillary Clinton, I don't feel in no ways tired. Yep, Hillary, Rodham Clinton. Kamala now has slipped into, let's see, at one point, what she said was a Jamaican accent, a Hispanic accent, Southern accent, and on Sunday, she pretended to be a preacher. We have a new accent. Take a listen.
And I have faith he is going to carry us forward, and the road ahead won't be easy. It will require perseverance and hard work. But in times of uncertainty, Scripture reminds us, weeping may endure for a night.
Man.
But joy cometh in the morning. The path may seem hard, the work may seem heavy, but joy cometh in the morning.
Wow.
Why do Democrats do this all the time? As one Fox News headline noted, quote, everything about this woman is fake. She even made sure the cameras were rolling for an awkward, cringe-worthy trip to a bar to drink beer with Gretchen Whitmer while she wasn't giving out communion and mocking Catholics and Christians. But if you're not into beer and fake accents, Democrats are also deploying another political tool. Rich, dumb, self-important celebrities, they want to tell you how to think and how to vote. Take a look.
It makes me so angry. Everything is on the line. And it will all come down to what happens here in Philly and in this great Commonwealth.
Who has the power is you all. Who has the power for the next 9 days is everybody standing here. And your power is not in being on a TV show. Your power is in that you, unlike Olivia Pope, you can really vote.
Each and every one of you can make a difference by doing a simple thing, and that's getting to the polls to vote.
Wow.
Leonardo, go take a trip on your private jet with your big carbon footprint. Tonight, Democrats have two big problems. The first, Americans are not happy with the Biden-Harris administration. It has been a complete and total train wreck in every way imaginable. What they cannot run on is any issue that shows that they have improved the lives of all of you. Nobody is better off than they were 4 years ago, obviously minus the worst pandemic in 100 years that impacted 2020 and 2021. The second big problem for Democrats, Kamala Harris is an awful candidate. She's often unprepared, unlikable. Her stated beliefs are radical and extreme. We have played them on this program again and again. As vice president, her staff left in droves, a 90-plus turnover rate. Her track record dating back to California is an utter nightmare. And with all this said, as I have said many times, know this race is close. It is important that you have the urgency to believe that your one vote, especially in Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, and Nevada, New Mexico, New Hampshire, assume your vote will decide this election.
Yes.
Ignore all of the noise, even all of the polls that you will see and hear in the next 9 days. This is what everybody, I hope, will focus on. The issues that matter to you and to your family. That is my advice. However, as NBC points out, there is, quote, meaningful movement in the polls towards Donald Trump. That is just the truth. And according to Real Clear Politics and their average, Donald Trump is now slightly ahead. But also remember, we didn't have a red wave as predicted in 2022. Assume your vote is the deciding vote. Now for information purposes, on this day, in 2020, Biden had a 7.5% national lead. In battleground states, Trump now holds on to a lead in Georgia, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina. Look at it. These are small leads, however. 4 years ago, he was losing all of these states. He was down by nearly 9 in Michigan, 6 in Wisconsin, 4 in Pennsylvania. And this means that all it means is really that Donald Trump can win. He won't win if you don't vote and if you don't take this with the urgency that it deserves.
Yes.
Tonight, polls are also closer than expected, even in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And a new poll from New Hampshire showing Donald Trump with a 1-point lead in the Granite State. Harris is even polling 10 points less than Biden in New York City. Now, despite encouraging numbers, the only poll that will matter is what happens between now and Election Day. Again, early voting is already underway. It is Election Day in most of the country. So bank your vote, make your voice heard at the ballot box.
Yes, guys, I'm telling you, when I look, I can't just imagine Kamala Harris being the dang president of the United States. I can't imagine it. But this is the thing. No matter what they say, a lot of these other media companies, they're literally pieces of trash. That's what I think. Because whenever you're supposed to report the news, you're not supposed to give opinions, and this is what they do. TV's 2024 coverage is the most slanted in history. ABC, CBS, NBC, 85% negative to Trump, 78% positive to Harris. We've never seen numbers like this before. Despite that, poly markets are still showing an exorbitant lead by Trump against Harris. And we need a strong leader. We need the dream team. And I hope and pray that people get out and they vote. Thank you so much, Christine Engler, for the 5 gifted True Life News memberships. You are amazing. Y'all show Christine some love in the chat. Show the British Perspective some love in the chat. Jim Miller. Guys, y'all are so amazing. Thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel. Thank you so much to all of our True Life family. Thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation. We are truly doing some amazing things with this channel. We are growing, and I'm just loving getting to serve you and bring you the facts and the news every single day. And me and my family are so grateful. We love you all. We thank you. And again, too, remember, we're going to be streaming probably starting around 6 o'clock on election November 5th. And we're going to go for probably 6, 7, 8 hours. And we're going to stream all the news. We're going to show you everything as it's happening because we want to make sure that you get the best news as fast as possible. We love you all. Thank you. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care.